will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with a Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. Now, I didn't mean to scare anybody this morning. The banner. Sorry, I wasn't scaring people about the banner. Just realized I haven't done a banner for this morning. But I think I'll be able to find one in anticipation of Savvy Cat Ana Caramujo joining us. Thank you. Coffee incoming as well. It's all very exciting this morning here. Thank you very much, Mrs. M, for the milky coffee. Thank you so much. Where was I? Yes, banners. We'll make a banner. We'll get Anna on in just a moment. And I just want, it's not really an apology, but I am concerned I may have scared the horses this morning with my late summer fashion. This caused quite a stir on social media yesterday. Follow me on Instagram for more fashion tips. And I want to just sing the praises quickly, if I may. A little bit of pushback when it comes to the knitted swimwear. This particular set here, it was a bikini, which obviously would be inappropriate if I were to, well, I don't know, whatever floats your boat. But I'm not going to be wearing the top half. It was the bottom half that interested me, which I am modeling there on green screen style. That isn't an actual Caribbean photo shoot that I took part in. But hope you like it. It's locally sourced. It's keeping a Portuguese tradition alive, I think, of the crochet macrame. And this whole episode and my revolutionary approach to beachwear fashion has given me the new name in the fashion industry of Crochet Guevara. So hope you like it, and hoping that a Good Morning Portugal knitted swimwear range will be emerging soon as I can team up with one of the great fashion houses of the world. So my agent is waiting for calls and is keen to shake the tree, as it were, of the fashion world. Look out for that on a beach near you. Heavy when wet. We haven't quite managed how it copes with water yet, but the Edwardians managed in the Victorians, so I don't see why we shouldn't either. Follow that, Ana Caramujo. Let's bring her onto the screen. Olá, bom dia, tudo bem?
Bom dia. It's good. Boa noite in this side.
Of course it is. Yes.
The middle of the night here. But
yes.
That was one of the most amusing intros that I've had so far. So
yeah. I'm so glad to have been part of it. Right. And you've been in, there you are in Los Angeles. Presumably you've been to Muscle Beach and some of those excellent beachfronts that there are in.
Actually, for the beachfront, I've only been to the Santa Clara yacht. I'll maybe explore some of those on this weekend.
Oh, okay. And did you see anybody in knitted beachwear? Because I would expect that the cutting edge of fashion to be occurring there as well in California. Any knitted beachwear?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I didn't pay too much attention. But probably. I've been seeing it on social media, though.
Right. Oh, have you? So it is a thing. Right.
It is a thing.
Oh, okay. I've come into it quite intuitively. Honestly, there was no strategic planning. It just happened like that. So I feel like I'm a natural as well. But enough about me and my knitted swimwear. Good morning to a lovely array of gumpers this morning, 1 a.m. So thank you so much, Anna, for joining us at 1 o'clock in the morning, your time. And for the last time, for the time being, because you are headed home and we are reviewing how your time has been, right, in the United States. So how's it going?
It's been very interesting. The United States is indeed like one of the things that was told to me that I found interesting is like 300 years in Europe is not a lot and 300 kilometers in the US is not a lot. It's pretty much that. So.
a key takeaway from your time in the USA then. Well, I trust you. It's been useful, and I'm sure it's been very educational and eye-opening and illuminating, right? To go to that culture where many of your customers have come from.
Yes, it's been very interesting because the US is it's been called a dominant culture because of how popular it is as pop culture and movies and all of that. And LA is very much the center of that side of things.
Yeah.
But there's still so many unexpected things that you wouldn't think about.
Oh, come on,
That
tell us about
really
those.
are.
Say again.
I was saying that there's still so many things that are unexpected when you actually get here, and
Yeah.
that you still get a lot of culture clashes.
Oh, okay. And have you got a few examples for us?
Well, one of the things was like I actually really thought that the whole preaching in the street was just a movie, a drama thing. It's not.
Because you're never sure, are you? You and I both, I think, have grown up, and as many people do in Europe, with a certain view of America that, of course, has been informed by watching TV and films, right, and listening to music. And so we could be forgiven for thinking that's what life is like when you go to the United States. And the preaching bit in the streets is correct and true by the sound of
The preaching industry. I don't know if it's an industry, but it's definitely a thing.
Really? And have you been converted? Have you found a new career or a new
No,
path?
but I actually in the place I'm staying right now, I have view to the Church of Scientology from my window.
Right. Okay. And are you tempted to
No.
okay, all right, simple answer. Right there. Okay. Anything else with the culture clash and your, I guess, increased understanding of your clients who are coming from the United States?
I also find it very interesting that it's completely different in the northern west coast versus the southern one.
Yeah.
I started in the southern one, so California and Arizona. And this past few weeks, I've been to the northern west coast. I've been to Portland and Seattle.
Oh,
And it's really quite different, not only in terms of landscape, but also in terms of cities. I don't know if you remember last time we were here, I was saying that I was quite culture shocked with the way that US cities were built and how everything was mostly one-story houses and very little high-story buildings.
mm.
There's a bit more, the cities look a bit more normal from my perspective on the northern side. At least Portland and Seattle has a very high-rise looking city. And it also has a lot more green spaces, which I really enjoy. So, but then again, in Portugal, I'm also a bigger fan of the north, so I'm not surprised at all. And I now understand why there is such a big community in the north from that area, as there is indeed some parallels.
Very interesting. Okay, so tell us a bit more about that then. So north is like is LA like Lisbon and San Francisco a bit more like Porto? Is that what you're saying, or do you have to go
No,
further?
when I was saying the north, I was not saying North California. I was saying Northwest Coast. So I was talking
Okay.
about Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington, which are
Yes.
like up here.
Yeah.
And I would say definitely that LA would be more similar to Lisbon in a way. But I don't think we really have any city in Portugal that is comparable to LA, because LA, like we were saying, it's like the center of the cultures and arts and movies and music, and there's always something happening. Lisbon would definitely be the closest comparison to that, but it won't be in the same level. So Lisbon is very, very small when you look at LA.
It's so true, isn't it? It is. I mean, Fabrizio and Ian were saying that they live in Arroios in Lisbon, and we're talking about where that's located, but just how small really Lisbon is. And yeah, I guess you've got a great sense of that touring the United States. Tell us a bit about Seattle then, and Portland, or Porto Land as we might call it now, with that comparison.
I guess.
What's
Well,
it
one of the things that I was very positively impressed was that the food on that side, I found that the ingredients were a lot higher quality and the prices were a lot more reasonable, which I really enjoyed.
Yes.
And
Well, better
but as you know, that's been a pain for me here in the last days, the whole food thing. So it definitely got some nice food in that area. And another thing that I really enjoyed is, I'm really into more alternative and quirky things. And for example, Portland apparently has a motto that is "Stay weird." So it has a bunch of alternative things going on, and I really, really enjoy it. So Portland apparently is the city of the studios that made Coraline and a bunch of famous quirky animations. And they were also having an event kind of going on, an art installation, I suppose, that was a cat trail of decorated cats made by the studio that was spread around the city. So of course I really found that super nice. And there was just a number of alternative places that it was this amazing midri with like the fantasy medieval themes that I actually accidental got Celtic fair, which is another funny thing. It was a Celtic fair, but they do call them Renaissance fairs here in the US, while in Portugal we have a bunch of medieval fairs. And the vibe is definitely completely different. But one thing I did enjoy is while in the fairs in Portugal, you will see maybe like 20% of the public that dresses up. Here, like 70% of people did dress up. Sometimes completely out of theme. There would be like Renaissance people, medieval people, Celtic people, Vikings all around, but it was super fun.
Yeah, like anything historical, basically.
Yeah.
Anything more than a couple of 100 years old. Yeah, absolutely. Jackie's saying, Bon dia Campos, is our very own Savvy Ana back from the US of A already? It's not been 6 months already. Wow, that has flown by. I hope she's had an amazing time. It's part one, isn't it? We should explain, because you are still there, but you're on the verge of returning.
I am returning on the 15th. I actually just got my US company open today. So
seriously, oh, congratulations! So we can celebrate with you. You have incorporated in the United States, and you've got an American company now. Wow, congratulations! I mean, you're an amazing entrepreneur in your own right here within Portugal. But to go and do that as well, I think is amazing. So congratulations on the launch, not only of a new website recently, but now a new company, a company structure over there on the other side of the Atlantic. Well done. That is significant. How's that process been? Because we sometimes moan about that here, you know, on one side of it, it's like
it was actually a lot slower than I was initially hoping, exactly because of that. Like I know that people tend to be a lot more efficient here in the US. But it actually was a whole process, because first I actually had to find a stand-in CFO because I don't want to be a tax citizen. And therefore I had to find a stand-in CFO, which took a while. And then I was going to get some help from lawyers to get some custom incorporation articles. And I was in contact with this firm that was recommended to me and just asking them, okay, just send me a service contract so I know what's included so we can move forward. Instead of a service contract, they sent me an invoice. And I was like, this is not what I asked.
Right.
And I kind of didn't really trust them at that point because they weren't saying anything specific. And from the sounds of it, they would just do the most basic of work, which was not what I was looking for. And so I had to look for a new lawyer's firm.
Wow.
And in the end, I actually kind of ended up opening the person that was the stand-in CFO ended up being the one opening the company. And we are currently working on the legal details and eventually getting the custom incorporation articles incorporated. But I also will need to come back to Portugal because the Portuguese and American companies will be connected, and I need to take care of things on Portugal's side. So I will I will also need to be changing the visa. Now that I have a company, I can change the visa. So that's why the phase one. And then once I change the visa, I can go back and start making my tour plan, where I will be actually doing physical events in the different locations instead of webinars, which I'm still doing every month at a time. So I actually just had one today, a few hours before our session here. And the next one is scheduled for the second week of October, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's either the...
We can see that on the website, can't we? We can find that at savvycatrealty.com if people want to find you that way. We are so proud of you. There's a brava from Laura in the Algarve. What a wonderful achievement. So that changes your visa game then, does it? But by being a company owner there, do you have a different sort of right to it?
No, I don't. The thing is, the visas in the US work completely different than the visas in Portugal. And what I will be applying will be basically for a visa as a temporary worker. So
In your
my
own company.
company will be inviting me to be in a management position for a temporary time to get things sorted, which is basically the goal here.
Yes.
And then I will get back to Portugal after it's sorted. And I am realizing that it may or may not take longer than I was initially hoping, but let's see. Because I will be doing those tours and seeing how it goes. And I did tell you that my overall goal was to get someone to do that job for me. But
Yes.
I will have to do it first to see if it works before actually hiring someone. So let's see how it goes.
It's been so brilliant to see this all develop in front of our very eyes, and thank you for updating us. On a more personal note, Pamela's asking, "Olá, Ana, tens saudades de Portugal?" So, are you missing home? Are you glad to be coming home quite soon?
Mostly the food and the healthcare. So that was an interesting experience. Like 2 weeks ago, I started getting UTI symptoms, and it was the whole panic. Because I will only get health insurance once I get the company open. So I didn't have US health insurance yet. And I wasn't very much willing to find out how much it would cost to go to get treatment in the US. I did, however, discover there is this like online prescription services here in the US. I imagine because this is a very common issue. And you know, since a UTI is a fairly easy to treat condition, I just basically had to fill out the form, and they made me a bunch of questions. And then supposedly I got in touch on a live chat with the nurse, and they got me the prescription. And then I went and picked up the prescription at the nearest pharmacy. Wow. So that was actually quite quite efficient. And it wouldn't be too bad to have something like that. If I don't think it would be legally possible to make something like that work in Portugal, but it would be quite nice to solve the waiting times for non-complicated conditions in the ER, though. So I actually found it really interesting.
Isn't that wonderful to have the comparison and you're understanding things much better, I'm sure, for the people who are coming from the United States?
Yes, I definitely understand how stressful it was. So stressful just being in the hotel and figuring out how do I solve this instead of just, you know, walking into an ER, either private or public, like I do in Portugal.
Yep. And you've grown up with that and you take it for granted, and there you are in a completely unfamiliar place. So that's the health side. Back to the saudade and the food that you mentioned. Would it be really unkind of me to show you a picture of a francesinha in that case?
No, I actually don't like francesinha that much, so it doesn't affect me that much.
Oh, Anna, that is our treat of the week this week. This one is from Carl Munson, which is it's a slightly it's a variant on the francesinha theme, because it's actually a burger in that one rather than a piece of steak, which I think is the more traditional version. That's Caldash. Maratona did that beautifully. So you don't like this dish particularly?
It's not that I don't like it, but it's a very heavy dish, so I very rarely eat it because it's so strong.
Yeah,
and and I also have to be very careful because I'm allergic to peppers and chili and anything pepper. So peppers, jalapenos, chili, which is very common in the sauce. So I overall avoid it.
Oh, there's about 3,000 ingredients in a francesinha, aren't there? So you do have to be careful.
Yeah, and here in the California, my pepper allergy has been a very fun thing to deal with. Americans really like their peppers and chili.
They do, don't they? In California as well, especially. It's pretty peppery business. In California. It sounds like you found your spiritual home in Portland then, possibly more so than in California.
I did really like Portland. Honestly, out of all the places in the US, it was the only one that I would say, okay, I actually would live here. But I still would require the healthcare part.
Right. So back to food then. Us Portuguese, we love to talk about food, and that's what you're missing. What's the first thing you're going to eat when you get back?
Probably really good seafood, octopus. How I really miss octopus.
Just the way you're talking about it, I can tell you're missing it. and you just went
And
somewhere.
soups, I really miss soups. I never imagined I would miss soup so much. The
No.
soups here in the US are so weird. There's no proper vegetable soups. There can be weird concussion like cheese and broccoli soup, and their tomato soup is basically like tomato sauce. Like, what's up with that?
This is what we need to know. This is what we need to know, because many people come to Portugal, and they and one of the conclusions you can come to in Portugal is that what is it with Portuguese people and soup? Why do they have to eat soup before they eat anything else? But you're finding that a different kind of approach to soup over there. So American soups are weird. The tomato soup is tomato sauce. Do we not have cheese in our soups here? I don't suppose we do we really? They're more of a stew, aren't they? A soup in Portugal is more like a meal and a little bit of a stew, really, than a soup that you might find.
You sometimes will put like meat in some of soups, like canja de galinha, which has the pasta and the chicken broth and chicken. And there is some soups that you put actual red meat in. Yes. But cheese, actually, there's some soups that I like to put like goat cheese in, like alho francês. How do you say that in English?
That's leek soup.
Yes, leek soup is amazing with some goat cheese.
Now you're talking, but not very Portuguese, right?
Not particularly Portuguese, but
so the American Portuguese soup clash. That may be what you could do as part of your events. Is like,
I actually went to this Portuguese restaurant in San Francisco, in San Jose, and I asked for caldo verde because it was the only soup they had, and I was really missing soup.
Oh, bless you.
And it was completely different than the caldo verde in Portugal. It was like a thick potato base, and the couve wasn't couve, it was kale. So it was a bit different, but it wasn't bad. So I was happy. It was still
a long way
better
from
than
home,
American soups.
There was a homeopathic resonance of Portuguese soup inside that. Was there the small lucky bit of chorizo in there as well?
Yes, it did come with actually 3 or 4 slices of chorizo, which was.
Oh, okay. So because normally it's like I don't know if it's traditionally in Portugal the father gets the 1 slice of chorizo in the caldo verde soup, or it's a lottery, and it's the lucky person who gets the 1 piece of meat that's in the soup there.
No, usually it depends on the size of the pan that you make, but if you make a big pan, the people will often put the whole chorizo or at least half of the chorizo.
Really? It's not chorizo soup though. It's more your cabbage soup than a chorizo soup, isn't it? To be fair,
it's still a lot more cabbage than chorizo.
Yes, okay. And Portugal, look, tea duck, American tea duck. Portugal has the best soup in the world. He's been converted. Come for the weather, stay for the soup. There you go. There's a nice little strap line for you for one of you.
I do find that the weather is really similar to here in California, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So there's a similarity there. Anything else that you want to tell us about culture clashes, what you're missing, first things you're going to be doing when you get back to Portugal?
I think another thing that I was really surprised by was that when you go to supermarkets, there is this whole shelves full of jumbo pill bottles of painkillers and other, basic medicines. And it was just completely crazy for me to look at that and thinking like, there's people here that will be taking like 4-6 pills a day to control pain because they can't afford to treat the actual problem. And it's just sad. Yeah. And it's because of that, there's whole sections of the supermarket selling jumbo bottle size pills. Yeah. And then it will be like, you will have the jumbo bottle like this, and then you will have the 4 packs, and then the 3+1 free packs, like it was candy.
It's a culture. It's a culture, isn't it? Maybe there'll be one of those bottles big enough that you can actually get inside it and live in it and just take a pill when you need it. That is, I mean, yes, joking aside, that is a pretty sad indictment, isn't it? On, I guess, dealing with symptoms rather than causes, and a culture that deals with pain in that way. Very interesting. James says, the OG, of all the cities I've been to, Portland has been the only one I would consider living in, the only city I've ever described as beautiful. That sounds quite harsh.
So we have an agreement.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So it's Portland all the way for both of you there. That's fascinating. Pam says, yeah, it'd be great if the SNS 24 24 would be able to issue prescriptions in some cases. Why do you think? Did you say it would be illegal to do so? What would be holding this back in Portuguese culture then? The system
Because the prescriptions can only be signed by doctors. I know in this case, supposedly the prescription were passed by a nurse, and that cannot happen in Portugal. So
okay.
they would have to have actual doctors signing on the prescriptions. It would not be impossible, but it would be harder to manage in that way in order to still have an affordable service.
Yeah.
But I think it could probably made work, but it's definitely an interesting thing to look at. And it would be very positive if it could make work, like situations, like UTIs and basic colds and stuff that is generally not life-threatening. I do feel that it's generally a lot safer to get seen by a doctor in case it's not what you are expecting. And that very much one of the reasons I want to get back to Portugal is because I have endometriosis and I had surgery, and I actually didn't have an UTI since before my surgery. So I very much want to get to Portugal and do a bunch of checkups and make sure everything is okay, because I am not looking forward to do that here in the US because it has a ridiculous cost. But still, in some situations, I think this could be a very beneficial service, especially to try and take away some of the overwhelm that the public hospitals have on these minor cases, I suppose.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, lovely to be comparing the cultures. Given that we have American friends this side, and you're going over there to find out what's going on and see it as a Portuguese person. Ubi's here. Oi, and bom dia todos. When does the sandwich discussion begin? Sandwich, Ubi. Sandwich.
Sandwich.
Or sandwich even, but not sandwich. Come on, mate. And T-Duck saying Los Angeles, Long Beach, Anaheim metro area, 20,600,000. We got over, what, 10.5 million
double
people.
the population of Portugal.
Isn't it just? And the greater Los Angeles area alone has a population of over 20 million. It's quite extraordinary, isn't it? The scale, the difference. Okay, there was a little neighborhood Wi-Fi challenge there. I hadn't finished the show prematurely like I did earlier this week. I think we're okay again now. I think that good to see you, Marcus. Like in so many places, you can't get a good picture of American food by eating in restaurants. Broccoli cheese soup is a good example. It's a common restaurant soup because it's easy to freeze. Cancha de galinha soup is a soup that's commonly made at home. It's a grandma food, which is always the best kind. Good point there. However,
I've never seen it in anywhere, any American version of cancha de galinha while I've been here at least.
I think the point he's making is that you're more likely to have that at home than you are in a restaurant. However, I think there is a greater sort of parity between what you eat in restaurants and what Portuguese people eat at home. Although I think Portuguese people like eating out.
What I was going to say is that I think most things that, of course, they will be cooked differently at home, but most things you can find at restaurants.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, in America, the approach to cuisine and eating out is different, isn't it? You're going out to eat in America to try cuisines from all over the world. Yes. And traditionally, I think in Portugal, you're eating Portuguese food mostly when you go out, aren't you?
That's really like when you have good cooks at home. I generally actually even prefer the traditional Portuguese food eaten at family homes because it's just it's just another thing. Yes. So I personally prefer to eat out different cuisines over than Portuguese. Yes. And I will mostly eat out Portuguese when I'm too lazy to cook.
Yeah. Yes. Bom fim de semana from Aviva. Good morning to you. Lovely to see you here in Madeira. One cannot truly know America without tasting a good corned beef sandwich, a Reuben or otherwise. Have you tried one of those yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's a treat to come.
But that was actually a curious event. Like 2 days ago, I went to this fancy Italian restaurant. Ooh. And I ended up ordering Wagyu, the Japanese beef thing. And the thing they actually served me was a sandwich with pulled meat that was supposedly the Wagyu. But why would you do that to Wagyu?
Yeah, that does seem a little unfair.
And why would you do that to Wagyu and put it in a supposedly Italian restaurant? It was very
Yes, disgraceful. Okay, I should be writing to the Italian and Japanese ambassadors about this matter. Yes, you've got great fish sandwiches apparently in the Pacific Northwest. Where's that comment? Oh yeah, great fish sandwiches in the Pacific Northwest. That's been decoded by Ubi very thoughtfully for all you foreigners and English people. Ubi, I was ahead of you there on that particular occasion there. Congratulations coming in from M on your establishment of your company in the United States. And one definitely, last few comments then for you, Anna. One definitely, because I'm sure you want to get to bed, one definitely does not want to be poorly in the US without insurance. I'm sure that's true.
That's actually something I've been discussing with more than one people. It seems that here in the US, the worst crime you can commit is to be poor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is very sad.
It is sad, isn't it?
The whole homeless situation, the cost of everything, how you cannot get any sort of care. I was also last week in one of the events I was in Seattle, there was this lady telling me that her brother was diagnosed with MS, which is a degenerative disease.
Yeah.
And she had to be super on top of everything insurance-wise, because if he went over any of the premiums, he would lose the insurance, or they would be ending up paying ridiculous amounts. Mm-hmm. And if he ended up determined to be unable to work and having to go to a care facility, even though that he made a good amount of money during his life, she was saying that it was he would be able to stay there until his money goes out. Then everything will be taken, like the house will be taken, the bank accounts will be taken, everything will be taken. And only after that, he would get public care.
So the bankruptcy and then public health after that. Wow, it's quite extraordinary, isn't it? What a wake up call, and how educational to hear about all of that, and how awful for that gentleman and other people in that situation. My friends from Scandinavian countries can't come to the US without medical travel insurance. Their governments won't allow it. That's interesting, isn't it?
That's actually very smart.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Newbie, let's hear having with that comment and this one. I've never had nor seen a cheese broccoli soup. I've only heard of it. Very good. And
it's everywhere in supermarkets. When I was checking, the supermarket soup section is the tomato soup and the broccoli cheese soup, and there's this other one that I don't remember, but those are the two main ones that are everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, Nubian, it's a pleasure that awaits you, I suspect, in your own country there. If I'm going out to eat, I'm not looking for something I would make and could make at home. Yeah, that's for sure. In your final days of the trip, maybe find a proper barbecue restaurant. It is one of the few uniquely American cuisines, and it sounds like you like meat, so that might be quite a good solution. But you will be going back, of course. And PT Country Bear Marcus also saying the worst crime is to be poor. It's a sad but true statement. That part of the culture is one of the reasons we left. And cream of mushroom. Okay. Who doesn't like that first thing in the morning? I was literally one illness away from homelessness. Yeah. That is very sobering to hear that. And however, I'm sure amazing to be in the United States as well. There are so many things to commend it. I loved being there. I've been to America a couple of times. Yeah. And really enjoyed
one of the impressive things that I do have to speak positively about is the job market. The job market in the US is a lot healthier than in Portugal. I think that's one of the things that Portugal is quite bad at. There is very little market opportunity and growth opportunity professionally, while in the US, it's full of opportunity in that sense. And the salaries mostly cover the cost of life, although, of course, that depends on the industry and capacity. But I do think in that sense it's doing better than in Portugal, because often the salaries don't keep up with the cost of life.
Right. Okay. Good to hear that. And it sounds like you are having an exciting and kind of diverse range of experiences over there. This is concluding part one of the trip, and you'll be going back for part two soon. Can you tell us then what help we might give you? Because we have American friends here. What's lining up for you in part 2 of your American adventure?
I think I guess I could get venue suggestions for booking the actual physical events.
Yep.
I did look at some things and I have some things in mind, but it would be great to have some venue suggestions.
Yep.
And of course, if you do have friends that are considering, we are doing these informative webinars that are completely free. And you can find them on our website. Oh, and recently we also created a Facebook group where we will be moderating to try and keep the information more or less or mostly accurate.
Good luck with that. But I guess
yes, we'll see how that goes. But we will also test it.
Very good. Well, keep up.
I will send you the link later, and then you can share it on your forum.
I'd be delighted to
see how it goes.
Yeah, be delighted to. A breakfast burrito is also another suggestion, especially if you can stop off in Santa Fe on the way home. And you'll experience a unique world there. Maybe that's for part 2. So, bon voyage. Looking forward to having you back in the country, and also looking forward to your further adventures of being in the United States. It's been amazing to keep track with you so far on this adventure. And congratulations again, Anna. We are very proud of you here. You're amazing going out there in your pioneering way and setting up shop over there in the United States. So all the best to you on your trip back and your trip back out again when the time comes.
Yeah, I really hope I don't get too jet lagged.
You'll be fine. I'm sure you'll take it all.
8 hours difference is wild.
Yeah, and if you do have your breakfast burrito, bearing in mind what you said before, order without the chilies, obviously.
Yes.
You don't want to hospitalize. Given all we've said, you don't want a chili-related health crisis over there. All right, all the best to you. Bon fin de semana. Sleep well. Ciao, ciao. Sweet dreams. Cheers, Anna. Fantastic. There she goes. Savvy Cat Ana, an amazing woman, pioneer over there in the United States, flying the flag for Portugal over there in the United States. If we can help her out, let's do that. And she was particularly asking about venues, wasn't she, over there in the United States? So if you've got some help and suggestions on that, I'm sure they'll be gratefully received. And you can get in touch with Anna, well, through me, and you can go to savvycatrealty.com. Okay, jet lag is easy, apparently, Anna, if you're still there, heading east. And with respect to Ocean Dwellers Commentary Santa Fe from Ubi, there are some places in the USA that you may never want to leave. Santa Fe might be one of them. That's interesting. Okay, no, I didn't go there when I was over there. And you're not joking, I suspect, there, Ubi. That is a truly awesome place to be, is it, Santa Fe? Okay, Santa Fe, New Mexico, if I'm correct there. Right, Feel Good Friday. We're moving our way into the weekend. Wishing you a bon fin de semana. Great fun last night. Lots of loose ends to tie up. The things that we've missed, basically, and probably the biggest clanger I've dropped this week is how I've messed up on the God Squad tips of the day. I do have, by way of compensation to the great Coach Turner, I do have a video that I made with him and that I put the finishing touches on this morning that I would like to share by way of being on bended knee and seeking your forgiveness there, Coach, because I have made it waiting at some traffic lights. Not yet. StreamYard seems to be, as soon as you share something on the screen, it starts up. We'll come back to that. What looks now like a black screen of doom. Okay, I'll leave it like that so you can get a sense of what's coming. But let me apologize to you, Coach Turner. I think I missed 2 God Squad tips of the day, and maybe we need to pop these up. Maybe if you send them to me and I can cut and paste them to the Portugal Club as well, because they're kind of here today and gone tomorrow, aren't they? Which has been my problem this week. When I've missed them, which I think I did yesterday and a couple of days before that, they're gone. Poof, and they are gone. So maybe we can immortalize so people can go back and get inspiration later on. Anyway, bon dia, Gumpers. E feliz sexta, you say, putting the sex in sexta-feira. Yes, it's Friday. I think I heard Mrs. M saying that. It's the day we have sex in Portugal. That's why it's called sexta-feira. Not true, by the way. Well, sometimes it's true. Another week done and the weekend beckons. Day 3 of my rowing machine challenge beckons before a trip to the coffee shop. Weather, meh, over there in the UK. God Squad tip of the day then. I mentioned yesterday about, thank you for mentioning yesterday. I mentioned yesterday about practicing standing up from a chair and realizing, when that flashed before my eyes, I think the general gist of the God Squad tip of the day yesterday was as you're getting in and out of a chair is to repeat is to do it 2 or 3 times rather than just in and out once, which gives you a nice bit of exercise and also a bit of a mindfulness moment. And if you catch yourself going, oh, as you get up in and out of a chair and shout things out like, age never comes alone, my knees, and all that sort of stuff, you can think, hold on a minute, calma, tranquilo. Let me just take a few deep breaths and turn this into a mindful exercise. Literally, exercise. So standing up from a chair, and realize that some may struggle with that. So ideally pick a chair with armrests and push with your hands as well. Oh, was yesterday's homework to do that without the aid of hands and from a low rider of a chair? Because, I guess the somewhat awkward trajectory when it comes to chairs and old age is you end up with one of those, are they called Shackletons, in a wipe clean finish? That's not where we want to end up ideally, is it? Or we want to put that off for as long as possible. So yes, if you are getting in and out of a chair, you might want to use your hands as well and push in and out, so to speak. Practice by standing up quickly and sitting down slowly. Oh, I see. Okay. Watch the blood pressure. Start with a couple of repetitions and add 1 more each day. So 10 times maybe. What are you doing? I'm just getting in and out of my chair like the coach recommended. Add 1 more each day. After a while, you should be able to stand without using your hands. That'll be amazing progress. And not to belittle the power of this possible exercise here. That's great. Thank you, coach. And this exercise will also help you climb stairs more easily. So well worth trying. What should we call these? Chair squats, maybe. How's it going with your chair squats? Fantastic. The OG in Europe was in at 8:14. Bom dia, Gumpers. Felicitatores. Como tem passado? And also with news, that's episode 13. These weeks are flying by, aren't they, James? The making of, not the walk through Ericeira itself, but the making of the director's cut, Veggies and Buses, now playing on a screen near you. So YouTube, an old guy in Europe. Not yet. Give it another 20 minutes. We're here for a little bit longer. Tying up the loose ends. We had a property of the week. We have a property of the week every week. It was Carl Hyde's exceptional 6-bedroom home in Carcavelos, which is our featured property this week. We had a car, the BMW electric BMW, which is a real beauty. We'll have a quick another look at those before we go today, just well, unless of course one of you Gumpers bought that £1 million home in Carcavelos and didn't tell us because you don't want to invite us to the housewarming. Anyway, if you bought that and a nice electric BMW to go with it, have a great weekend. You'll be busy, I suspect. Do I go out in the electric BMW or do I move a bit of furniture around in my new dream home in Carcavelos? Anyway, the treat as well. I think we did the Francesina justice this week, which was absolutely superb when I tried it. I inspired myself to try it, of course, in Caldesterrania and really enjoyed it. I'm surprised to hear that Savvy Cat, not so much of a fan, but that's the one I had this week and thoroughly enjoyed that. And our Portuguese point of interest this week is the place you can see on the screen in front of you. We featured the Serra da Estrela National Park here, a place of interest here in Portugal. And I was there back in May of this year with Colin Ross Jones, the Formula One. Well, he's a Formula One fan and an ex-racing driver. And you'll see him briefly in this video, which I'm going to share with you now. This perhaps is the longest traffic light phase I've ever experienced. And not only that, the excitement doesn't end there, by the way. It goes on to be, after being the longest wait I've ever experienced at traffic lights, to being the longest. Now, I don't know if it's a contraflow management system, a traffic management system, which I'm sure will have made the pages of Traffic Management Weekly. It will have been a cover star. This on the N338 or N335 near Mantegas in the Serra da Estrela mountain range. This is extraordinary. Not going to play the whole video, but here's some of it to give you a sense of what Coach Turner and I experienced back in May of this year. Coach Turner and I are just waiting at some traffic lights in the middle of nowhere. These are the most remote traffic lights we've ever experienced. And you've got a little sign there, have you? What's it telling us?
Tempo max de espera 11 minutes.
We might have to wait here for 11 minutes. We arrived here when they were red, didn't we? And there's a beautiful mountain stream on the other side. There's lots to see while we're waiting here. There's a guy in a red car behind us. Funny looking bloke. So we could be here for some while as we are waiting by the improvised traffic light system. I guess that's good, really, isn't it? Because you don't want to be going a few hundred meters along here to be faced with a juggernaut or tractor or
Coming the other way.
oncoming traffic, in the other direction. I have to reverse back up the mountain road. Are we going?
Okay.
Wow. I'm in two minds whether to post this up as a full-length video. You know how there are videos on YouTube of fish in aquariums or log fires? It's real, authentic traffic light weight. But we will probably do this in segments.
Need a lot of memory.
And we're going to just see how long this whole section is then of
It's twisted.
the Rockfall contraflow. And the chain link fence has now given way to a plastic bollard system. Oh, more chain link again now. Double chain link, in fact. So, yeah, okay. They're doing a lot of work to protect us from something pretty serious at the top there. I don't know if you can see that.
So,
Yeah. Look at this. This is a standalone. This is its own video. The N338 traffic light management system, which I didn't realise could be quite as exciting.
used to dream of these things. It is long, isn't it?
It is. I can't imagine how anyone would be or fail to be impressed by this anywhere in the world. It's not over yet. It really isn't over yet. The full-length video of that, which I made this morning, is up at GMP TV. Oh, thank you. We've reached 100 subscribers. GMP TV is our segment and highlight channel. Over here on Good Morning Portugal on YouTube, this is where we live stream the full show, of course, and we take highlights and we introduce other great works of art. Those especially created especially for us by Andy Klein. End up at GMP TV as well. So please subscribe to that if you can. We've reached the milestone of 100 subscribers. Oh, and 10,000 hours or something like that. I saw when I was over there this morning. 10,000 views and 100 subscribers. So it's two channels. And sorry if that's confusing, but I just thought it might be easier for those of you who, well, you are the hardcore viewers here, and we're here on the YouTube channel of Good Morning Portugal. But for people who want snippets and couldn't imagine giving an hour of their life in the morning to joining us and having fun with us, what's wrong with them, by the way? But for people who don't fancy that, a whole hour of their life that they're never going to get back because they don't understand the Gumperverse yet. GMP TV is for those folks. So if you don't mind subscribing to that as well, that's where you'll find 5 minutes and 40 of the truncated version of it was 7.5 minutes because it was already red when we arrived there. So we didn't wait for the full 11 minutes. We were only there for 7.5 minutes. And then we drove for another, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes on that system of chain link and plastic bollards. Must cost an absolute fortune to have created that. But I guess it's protecting people from rock falls as you make your descent into Manteigas, where I showed you that beautiful restaurant the other day, San Lorenzo Hotel, Posada style place, and the most amazing view. So it's a fabulous part of the country. So glad to have in some way done the Serra da Estrela area a little bit of justice this week, but please go there. Put it on your list of places to visit here in Portugal. It absolutely deserves to be a Portuguese point of interest. And we're open to suggestions next week. So Portuguese point of interest, Portuguese treat. Is it the brigadeiro that we do next week? Because we've got Darren who's got us off to a cracking start by sending us some lovely pictures of his brigadeiro balls. That was that's up at the Portugal club there, and I'm going to make a little short of that, including the recipe. If you want to make some of those delicious chalky balls of goodness that are known as the brigadeiro, sometimes in a big cake as big as your head, sometimes in a small bite size amuse-bouche, which is the version that Darren made and has shared the recipe. Darren also saying yes. There was somebody waiting at those traffic lights who had the time to get out and create some art on the sign. Presumably, they didn't walk up there to do that. It might have been somebody sat in the back of their mum or dad's car. But it's boring. Well, okay, get out and have a walk. And then they got their graffiti pens out and added an artistic touch to some of the road signs there. And Aviva saying, this is what my local road is like. They are doing roadworks all over this part of the island in Madeira, and you have to sit and wait for the traffic lights daily. A nice moment for mindful reflection there. Right, a few things to look forward to this weekend as well. Bayrandi's smattering. We've also posted up one of his bushwhacking videos at GMP TV this morning. Yes, did anyone make the brigadeiro? We can help people do that next week. And of course, we could be our treat of the week. Open to suggestions on that. Just very briefly, we have that beautiful home in Carcavelos that you see Carl Hyde in our opening video. And of course, we'll have another one next week. I'll give you the link to that. Should you have a 1.1 million stuffed down the back of the sofa, 1.2 million, I beg your pardon, but only 1.1 million euros. That was the dollar price there. And that's with the agency. Very nice it is too. And if you wondered what the property was that was in the opening sequence, that's it. And that's going into the chat now. If you want to share that with any friends around the world, I'm sure Carl Hyde would be delighted if you did that. We've not said much about the car of the week. It's an absolute stunner, chosen by Colin Ross Jones. We have been a little bit up the high end of the market, and we're very delighted to be working with Benacar on this. This is it. This is the beauty. That is the BMW i4. And one of the wine club members had the i3 and absolutely loved it. And when you go to benacar.pt, you can play, you can spin the car around really fast or really slow, and you can have a look inside it as well, which is pretty awesome. Look, isn't that great? Have a look at various photographs of inside the vehicle as well. Fantastic website. If you do go over to benacar.pt and have a look at what they've got there in their extraordinary range of vehicles, and they ask who sent you, do mention us and maybe ask for Rodrigo, who's our mate over there in Benacar in Benedita. An absolutely brilliant place, which can only really be understood when you go there and have a walk around. It really is the most extraordinary place. So there's a very fine piece of German motor or automotive engineering for you there. The car of the week this week, which is the BMW i4. And yeah, I think we did the Francesina justice, didn't we? And I think we've brought everyone up to speed with that. A little snatch of video there from driving in that traffic light and contraflow system there. Check it out for yourself. It'll be an experience you will never forget. Bayrandi is here. Hola, Malta. What a fantastic morning, he says. So let's share a few of your highlights this morning from the Birra Area. Beginning with, if I may say so, my slight concern when I made a video of these last week, that Aveiro, we were including events from Aveiro, and I suddenly thought to myself, hold on a minute, Aveiro is not in the Bairrada district, is it, Andy? Bayrandi? And yes, it turns out it is. And this, I guess, going by the DOC, what is a DOC? A denominação de origem controlada. And if we go with that, if we go with the DOC, I think we can include Aveiro in that. So I was a little bit concerned about that, but I think we'll be forgiven when it comes to talking about Aveiro being part of the Bairrada district. Lots of things actually to share with you that are coming up this weekend. Let's start with Andy's. It continues. Just when you thought Festa season was over, they're still continuing in the Bairrada 6-day festival at this time of year. And that's going on until the 9th of September in the coastal district of Gafanha and Encarnação in Aveiro, next to the lagoon at the Witches Crossing. Watch out for those witches there. You can go for a walk and a lunch in Agadão, in Agada, Book now, €10. Fantastic, picturesque walk. All of these, of course, featured on our Gumper map. Go to goodmorningportugal.com and click on events/map on that tab, and you'll see all of these and others there. And you can add your own, of course, as well. Free commemorative t-shirt for €10 and a super communal barbecue chicken lunch with drinks. Isn't that fabulous? Not only that, but a dessert and coffee as well. Walk or run at the Alfusquero River Beach in Aguda. The Trail of the Alfusquero, and you need to register for that one. Starting and finishing point is a circular walk then at Alfusquero River Park. That's going to be nice for a little walk by the river there. Keep you nice and cool in the searing heat of the Bairrada, presumably this weekend. Set in the festival ground next to the stream is this fun festival in Azenia in the Bairrada as well. There's always a super atmosphere. And he doesn't only post these, he's been to most of them and he can give you a little bit of a review of them. There's always a super atmosphere with everyone having a great time celebrating the wine harvest. It's Vindima time. Why not join them in a glass of it? Philomena, I'll come back to Philomena in a moment. She's got an invitation to join some grape picking this weekend. So if you know Philomena and you've got some free time this weekend and you'd like to try grape picking for the first time and start harvesting or being part of the harvest, get in touch with Philomena this weekend. I'm going to come back to her in just a moment because she did a cracking job last night. Lots happening at this super little event in the park next to the market in Bushwacking there. So the Stock Off event, it doesn't sound very welcoming. Stock Off event in Bushwacking Bairrada there, and the obligatory Zumba experience as well. So 9 o'clock at night. If you want to burn off a bit of energy, if you're feeling a little bit hyperactive still at 9 o'clock in the evening, where is this one? Oliveira de Bairro, a Zumba event. Can't see the date of that, but it does start at 9 o'clock at night. And if you want to find out where that is, go to goodmorningportugal.com and click on the event map tab over there. Right, going to the aforementioned Philomena, who did a cracking job last night. We were talking about going shopping, basically, not just in the supermarket, but all the places you can buy wonderful Portuguese things, food and drink. And that was a fantastic webinar last night, which will be available from Sunday evening on the Expats Portugal YouTube channel. And she had these. These are my screenshots, which I cheekily took from her presentation. If you've struggled at the taglio at the butcher counter here I know some of you will definitely not have struggled at the butcher counter because you give it a wide berth. Some of you, though, will be standing there thinking, how do I ask for cheek or jowl or cow heel, which was actually on the menu at Palmeira yesterday. I popped to see Capricorn Chris. Chris, if you're watching this morning, we didn't get a selfie. I got a selfie with Paul, met up with Paul, and I'll see if any of you recognize Paul in just a moment. So I had a coffee with Paul this week. Lovely to catch up with Gumpers and with Capricorn, Chris and Rima yesterday. However, we had a problem because we didn't take a selfie, Chris. So if you've got a picture of San Martinho de Porto, at least, or the Storytellers, where I think you had a lovely time, please send that to me on 913-590-303. I want to show you a picture of Paul as well to see if any of you recognize him. He listens to the Good Morning Portugal show in Somerset of a morning in the UK, and he inflicts us on his work colleagues who've become hooked as well. So if you can match that kind of story of being or inflicting the Good Morning Portugal show, and we know this has happened with kids, don't we? Like they hear the Good Morning Portugal show theme and like, oh no, not again. And that's an important part of any child's upbringing. I mean, I'm sure we've had that happen to us. So there's no reason why it shouldn't happen to the teenagers of today to have to sit through and listen to the Good Morning Portugal show. But if you know anybody who doesn't have a direct interest in Portugal, but still loves listening and being part of this community, let us know. Paul is one of those people. His mate, I didn't get his mate's name, who works with him, painting and decorating in Somerset there. This is Paul. I thought I downloaded the picture of Paul. Where is it? It's gone now. Anyway, maybe I'll come back to that. Maybe I won't. I thought I downloaded that darn picture of. Here's another way of doing it. I am not going to be defeated by the WhatsApp. Not the WhatsApp, the Google Photos combo here. I'm going to take it to WhatsApp. You see that I won't, and I will bring it to you a different way with any luck. Bear with, because I want you to see if you recognize Paul here, who I took this selfie with in or outside on the green at Palmeira, which is a site and a place you'll be very familiar with. So here we go. Finally, forgive me, here is the picture of Paul. Do you reckon it's been worth the wait? I hope. Do you recognize Paul there. He's the one on the right. And he may well have some knitted swimwear on underneath his biking gear. But there's Paul. And thank you, Paul. It was great to meet you and have a coffee with you earlier this week. And lovely to see you yesterday, Chris and Rima. Other things that are coming up for this weekend, of course, we've got the wonderful Branny, who is launching his... We talked to him, didn't we, about his latest single. Where's Branny? Here he is. He's got the Road Love release party. It was great to chat with him when he popped into the show. And he's at the Prohibition Bar this coming Sunday. Prohibition Bar, 8th of September at 1 o'clock. The opening act there is Gareth Owen. So lots of value musically with Gareth Owen opening up the fun and the Road Love release happening from Branny. Get along to that because it's great. The Prohibition Bar is great. Branny's great. And I'm sure you'll have a great afternoon there in Ubic, in Obidos there. What else have we got for you? Oh, it's 10 o'clock. We've got to go. We've got the Ericeira Beer Fest coming up as well this weekend. Pop along there. You may see James in Ericeira. The Bluegrass Festival. I haven't got the details of that on my screen here, but if you're into bluegrass, go see Chris, Gumper Chris, who's coming over from America to play at the Trattoria Bluegrass Festival soon. I don't think it's this weekend, but it's happening soon. We'll make sure we get some details of that as well. Oh, this picture, we were talking about Serra da Estrela, of course, and Monsanto. When Coach Turner was up there, he found this bit of kit left over from the Game of Thrones filming. I don't think the filing cabinet's a very authentic Game of Thrones, but the trebuchet device, some kind of slingshot cannon medieval thing is there as well, which would go down well at any steampunk kind of do. Nicely captured there for us by Coach Turner. I think that's all the events. Yeah, that was the Zumba event. I think that's everything I've got for you to conclude this fabulous week. Oh, that's what James enjoyed last. This is what you can enjoy at the Ericeira or Birra Festival. Some lovely pizza, some wood-fired pizza, a glass of beer, and that fine view of the beach there. In this week, of course, where we discovered that Portuguese wine is for sale with no alcohol in it, which was a bit of a shocker, I have to say. So thanks for being with us here this week. Have a great weekend, a bon fin semana, wherever you're going. Let's see what last few comments are coming in as we make our way into the weekend on this sexta-feira. Who's doing what this weekend? Yeah, Birra Area. Well done, James. Thank you for the for that mention there. Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, scored his 900th goal as Portugal, I believe, beat Croatia. Yes, 2-1 last night. Fantastic. And talk of the United States. Yeah, I miss the landscape sometimes. Not a typical US place. Where is that? Are we talking about Santa Fe? Yes, we're talking about Santa Fe. They're off to Torres Vedras. That's part of Ubi's weekend plan. Bonjourne a todos. Likes to mix it up. And we've got, who else? Bayrandi popped in. A nice wave from Bayrandi. And Darren adding, has anyone been watching Celebrity Race Across the World? That's a catchy title. It features Brazil a lot, and I was shocked at the similarities of place names and companies to Portugal. Yeah, I guess when we have our Gumper trip to Brazil, we too will see that, won't we? And see the connections when we go out there. Just an idea that just occurred to me when we visit Brazil. Albufeira has a fisherman's festival this weekend. Thanks for that, Deagle. Lots of love to your household. Parabéns, Cristiano. 900 goals there. Isn't that amazing? Love a whistle song. Yes, I can't play that anymore. I get a copyright strike every time I play that now. Enjoy your weekend, Carl. Ciao from Aviva. Bon fin semana to you. And I see that guy all over the place. You recognized him then? You recognize Paul. Okay, yeah. That's him. Yeah. He's he's everywhere here in Portugal, isn't he? Oh, well done, James. Thank you for saying so. I'm wishing you a great weekend. And Carl, that looks like a big bow. Yes, absolutely. Captured there for us. Oh, and it's not this weekend, but the one after. And we'll be popping to Viseu next weekend with the amazing Austin brothers. Looking forward to that. Popping back to see Hugh in Viseu next weekend. But if you go to Trattoria, you can enjoy the Bluegrass Festival. And that's a 4-day event. So Chris back for that. Darren, did you know? I think we've got a final did you know? Oh, no, we don't. We've got a bit more about Albufeira. There is a secondhand good quality sale on Villa Magna in Albufeira tomorrow, Saturday the 7th. Thank you for all of these. Love that. I think it's great when we look at a few events that we might go to for the weekend on a Feel Good Friday. So thank you very much for that, Algov Laura Puntin as well. And finally, then, let's make this a finally. I know you're just like, is he going to shut up? Yes, I'm going to shut up now. Do you know that in 1770, Portugal abandoned the last possession in now Morocco? They transplanted the whole population to Brazil in the Amapa region and created a new town with the same name. Wow, from Morocco to Brazil. Maybe we can follow in those footsteps on the historical journey. Bon fin de semana para todos, and bon fin de semana from Antonio F. Thank you, Antonio F., for all your lovely service, of course, over at the Portugal Club. If you want to support the show and the Gumper Endeavour, do so at gmpvip.com. And if you're already a member there, why not pop back and say hi? We miss you. All right, all the best. For the last time then this week, we'll have a new intro, a sequence from Monday with a new car, a new house, a new point of interest, and a new Portuguese treat. Have a great weekend. Take care. Some Gumper dust on you and the closing sequence.
There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.